everyone, it is Sammy. Welcome to anyone who is just finding my channel, and welcome back to everyone who is returning. Thank you for the new subscribers. I really appreciate that, and it does help the channel grow. I have decided to try something new in addition to regular Stitch With Me's for where I'm talking with you guys. But I feel like I need to provide some stitching meditations, because a lot of times when I am stitching, it's actually like a meditation for me. So very calming, and many times when I'm just stitching by myself, I have music going on in the background, and I feel like I should be providing that to you all. Alright. So I am going to go ahead and just get started here. Today will be just a regular, oh, I hate the computer, a regular Stitch With Me with talking. I have done 37 stitches this morning because I was testing out my setup after I moved some things around, and just making sure that the sound was working good. So because I have been, I guess you could say, frustrated with the amount of time that it takes to go ahead and, sorry, threading my needle, go ahead and do stitches twice because I'm not doing a full cross, and I hit the camera again, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I'm working right under my light, so it's gonna get quite dark as I try to get these stitches. Yeah, I've gone back to 2 strands instead of doing 1 strand twice, just so that I can work a little bit faster, because I was just getting frustrated at the slow speed. I like the neatness of it, but at the same time, I can try to do a little bit of laying by just, when I hold the thread like this and just kind of try to keep it from twisting. I don't know how well that's working with just my fingers, but that's what I'm doing. Okay, and then I think it's this one, because this is the edge right here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I did just do that one. Did I miss? I missed these stitches up here, so I started in the wrong stitch. Okay. Okay, stand. I'll have to tighten you up because I put a little bit too much pressure on it and it bit downwards. Okay. So I think it's just those 3 stitches there for this color. Let's go ahead and, I'm working literally the edge of the frame, the edge of the stand is right here, so I'm working right against that edge, and it's making it a little difficult to get stitches here. Okay. Alright, so those 3 are done. I haven't really worked on this at all this week. I'm still recuperating from that whatever cold I had gotten. It wasn't the flu, thankfully. Our friend got the flu because I called him Tuesday? No, it was Tuesday last week, I think. Because we were across town, and we were actually like 3 blocks from his house. And I called him figuring he was still at work, but I would leave him a message to see if he wanted to meet us for like an early dinner or something after he got off work, or lunch or something. You know, just to meet up, because we don't get to see each other very often. Just due to work schedules and such. And found out he had the flu. He had been homesick for a week. And he goes, the flu this bad is... so, I'm just stumbling over my words here. The flu this year is really bad, is what he said. What's going around here? He has asthma pretty bad, so whenever he gets anything that's respiratory, it really affects him. And so the flu just really knocked him down. But he said that it's really bad. Everybody that he knows of that has gotten the flu has been out for at least a week with it. And he was saying he was going to have to go back to work even though he wasn't recuperated, because his work wouldn't grant him any more time off. He had applied for a disability leave, I think, and to have one more week so that he could recuperate, because it really hit him hard with his asthma. And he was only staying awake for like an hour and then going back to bed. And they denied it. So, I don't know. I haven't talked to him since then. It's been a little over a week. But he said that because of that flu, he won't be able to go on our annual fishing trip this year, where he goes with us into the mountainous area to the north to go fishing, because he won't have the time off. Okay, where am I? There we are. So, yeah, he's kind of disappointed about that, but I understand. Life happens. I was out myself for like a month, and almost the entire month of February because of that dizziness. And then I caught this cold, and thankfully I did not catch the flu. We did not go see him because he had the flu, obviously, but yeah, he caught that flu. I caught a cold, and so that's why I haven't really stitched on this, because I have been sleeping a lot. I ended up being out of work again this week for like 2.5 days, and 3 days last week, just simply because I couldn't stay awake. I could not stay awake no matter what I tried. So, let me pin this off here. Now, I'd be up, and then my sleep schedule's been all wonky, so I get up at 3:30, typically 3:30 in the morning, to be at work at 4. And I've been waking up anywhere between 2:30 and 6. There was one day that I literally could not stay awake. My alarm went off at 3:30, at 4 o'clock, at 4:30, and each time I just turned it off. It's like, yeah, I'm not staying awake. And then I had to call work. I had to call my supervisor and go, hey, I can't stay awake. I'm not coming in today. I can't exactly concentrate on work if I can't stay awake. I even had to go home another day this week after I started feeling better and went back into work, and I had to go, hey, she was like, I'm glad you're back, and it's like, yeah, I can stay awake for longer than an hour, which wasn't exactly true, because I would be awake for 2-3 hours, but I wouldn't be able to concentrate very well. But I've been doing a lot of thinking and doing more meditations. Just allowing myself to work through my past, per se. We all have our own issues. So that has been a good thing, I think. Oh, come on, I can't. I'm trying to thread this needle. That loop just does not want to go through that needle today. I know you can't really see it because I don't have it on autofocus. I have it focused on this. Come on. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so since I have been doing more sorry about that. And we still have the pollen going around here, so even though I don't feel run down anymore with whatever cold I had and a slight fever and just being super tired, I do still have a lot of congestion because, yeah, the pollen is really high right now. The trees I saw are in bloom. I'm like, they've been in bloom since early March, and I'm like, they usually don't go in bloom until April. So it's been quite warm. We're even going down to a campsite tomorrow to meet up with Dad. Dad and his girlfriend there down at a lake in the southern part of the state to just go putz around on the boat, maybe do some fishing. And let's see, where am I at? 1, 2, there we go. So, oh, that reminds me, I gotta get our fishing licenses if we're gonna do any fishing. We probably won't, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so we're supposed to go down there tomorrow because the weather today, while it's not going to be nasty because we had some pretty high winds this week, it's not going to be great either. There's still going to be some higher winds, not super high winds, but enough to... Where the heck is that hole? Is it right there? That just... No, that was straight up. Let's try this again. I can't seem to find... There. That it? Yeah, that's it. Wow. I might need new glasses. Well, I know I need new glasses, but it's either here or there. But yeah, so we're going down there, and it's supposed to get to 79, 80 Fahrenheit tomorrow down there. And it's going to be light winds, enough to really get the boat out onto the water. And because, okay, backstory. So Dad bought a new boat. Okay. His girlfriend didn't like the boat that he has, because he hasn't sold it yet, which is more of a faster boat that you use for skiing and playing around on the water. So it was just too fast for her. She didn't like the bumpiness of it, and I'm like, that's being on the water. I mean, you're going to have wave action, but I get it. And he agreed. They're he's 78, 79. I always forget. And, she's in her 80s, so, she doesn't want that anymore. And I understand that. So, he bought a pontoon boat, which goes about half the speed at its fastest speed. Well, when he bought it, of course, it was November. So we couldn't really go out and test it because, it was just too cold. So this is the first time that he has taken it out, and he wants to teach us how to put it in and out of the water. And, how to operate it and what have you. Let's see, let's go down this way. Work our way back up to go across. So now we had to, they're down there with the fifth wheel and the boat, and they're in a campground, and they've been down there for a bit now at 2 different lakes. They usually take the entire month of March and go camping. So, but I could get one day off. I've taken Monday off so that I don't go down there, which is a 3-hour drive south. I don't go down there and then be like exhausted because I have to run home after that and be in bed by 8:30 at the latest so that I can get some sleep to be up at 3:30 in the morning the next morning. So I took that Monday off. I took Monday off so I can recover a little bit. Well, we had originally planned to go today, Saturday, and the weather was just going to be too bad. It was going to be too windy. And I told Dad about it, and he goes, yeah, I'm not launching the boat in that weather. Not when we're going to have gusts over 40 miles an hour. Because he's like, you're not going to be able to control the boat like you could with the other one with your hands. So, it's not like you can push it around with your hands. It's just too big and too heavy. So you can't, push it around to get it lined up and, your feet in the water and push it off from the pier or pull it into the pier. No, you can't do that. He said you have to use a heavy duty rope because it's just too big, too heavy. So we switched plans. We're going down tomorrow, and we're going to stay the night with them tomorrow night rather than try to make that 3-hour trip home afterwards. Of course, it depends on how long we're out on the water too. We might be, if we're off the water by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and we feel up to driving home, then we might. But the plan is to stay the night with them. And then we'll get up early Monday morning and make the 3-hour drive back home. I was originally going to take time off in April to do the same thing at the lake to the north, where we go stay during the summer. We have a Elks Lodge campground up there, and we're part of the Elks Lodge. So we have a spot in that campground that we pay for each summer. And we were going to go up there in April when Dad was going to be at the state park up there just before the Elks Lodge opened for summer operations, and do the same thing at that lake. But I couldn't afford to take a day off in April too. So, and now, having been sick, I definitely cannot afford to take a day off in April. I have my summer PTO all planned out and approved. So our week and a half trip to the Elks Campground in July, which is our annual fishing trip, is approved, as long as I have the PTO. So, yeah, and then I have the weekend of our wedding anniversary in June, and then I have another 4-day weekend in August approved. I don't know whether we're going to go up there each weekend. We'll have to see what the finances look like. But as of right now, I can't miss any more work or I won't have the PTO to take all of this. So, yeah, it sucks being sick because you have to use all of your PTO. Okay, so I've got this one. Where's the other one? Okay, so down that way. Alright, so not too far to transit, so it's over here, right? Yeah, it's over here. I tried to only go about 2.5 squares away, which would be equivalent to about an inch or so. Let's see if I can pin this off here. But sometimes it doesn't really go that way. Since I try not to go too far, but I will make exceptions from time to time if I feel the need to. Oops. I really need to redo these. I mean, I like these little heart cutouts, but sometimes they're annoying. Alright, go back up here. What have we got next? 3862. I need a needle. There we go. Tight pull. Come on, through the loop, thank you. There we go. And so this week, while I've been doing my best at work, I have mainly been working on the printed pattern that I have videos on, because I can just have that in my lap and work on it. I don't have to set up the stand or, you know, have the cord for the light set up, and I can just sit and work on it. Oh, no, I want to be down here. So, done a lot of work on that, actually. And I haven't been keeping track of the count of stitches on that one. So, I can't tell you how many stitches I've done on it. But, it's probably several thousand. I should probably make a progress video at some point so that you guys can see the progress. I know that there's a lot of floss tubers that make progress videos and show what their progress is. Some do it monthly, some do it weekly. And I guess it just depends on how much you stitch, right? You know, on a normal basis. I know Nicola, Simply a Stitcher, she does a progress video every Monday. Yeah, let's go down here. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. I don't know. I just don't stitch as much, I don't think. And especially, I don't stitch that many projects. You know, I think she has like 20 plus projects going at once, with some being priority and some not. And I have 3 right now. And I think that's enough for me, at least for the moment. While I am more a process stitcher, and I enjoy the actual process. Like I said, I've been doing a number of meditations this week. And I've kind of always known that stitching is a meditative process for me, which is one of the reasons why I talk so slowly when I'm stitching. Not because I can't do 2 things at once, but because I allow my mind to just relax. And then I lose my train of thought and wonder what the heck I was talking about to you guys. But I will be, there we go. Once I get things situated and some music and such that I want to have in the background, I'll go ahead and start doing those as well. Oh, I just hit the camera majorly. I am so sorry. Okay. Yeah, I hope it didn't change it too bad. So that's that one. We gotta go way over here. And down here. So I've got a lot of carries with this one, but they're all relatively close, so I feel like I can carry them. I mean, they're not super close, but yeah, down here. Yeah, down here. Are you still within range of the camera? Yes, you are, but you're getting out of range. You're getting to the lower part of the what I'm focused on here. Okay, now I got those two. So I have 10 stitches left. Oh, yeah, see, there's this carry that's going to be too long. Okay, so now we've got this down here. All right, so not quite out of camera range because we're nearing the bottom of this first section of pages. Let's move it over a little bit. Let's go over here. There we go. Trying to get in that same thread. There we go. Now I did have, I don't remember where it was, but I had a yellow stitch that was off over here somewhere. It was all by its lonesome. I had it pull out. Even though I had pinned it off, I hit it just right with the needle and yanked it out enough that I ended up having to pull the entire stitch out because I pulled one of the two threads out. And of course, because I had clipped it off, I couldn't just put it back. So I pulled it out and ended up clipping it off. So I'll have a number of onesies that'll have to be done. Ooh, this is a big one. Okay, I do have, oh, I'm gonna have to, let's see. So yeah, I used number 28 needles on this one. Come on. Get some needles out here. Now I found the number 28 needles and the 25 count just goes a little bit smoother than the 26. I think it's recommended to use 26 on this count, but I prefer the 28. So it's, in order to have enough needles, I am using the 28 on this stitch along unicorn pattern, and then I'm using the 26 on the drive-through dragon. That way I don't have to go and buy a whole bunch of other 28s when I also have 100 count of the 26. And then I can keep the needles and floss set up for both at the same time. You're trying to put the loop through the eye of the needle and it just kind of bends the loop, and the two plies separate, and one will try to go through the eye and the other one will try to go around the eye. Yeah. Don't have that problem when you're working with one strand, but you're just doing one ply. Well, it's kind of, I realize it can get kind of frustrating because I keep saying 2 ply and such, and I'm talking more of a spinning, because I do have a spinning wheel and a drop spindle, and I do spin my own yarn from time to time. I haven't done it in a little bit, but I do every now and then. And so when I talk 2 ply, I am talking in terms of spinning because they are plied together. And it's not the same ply that you might use in cross stitch terms, where you have one strand here that is then folded over to make 2 strands. And I might use the term ply interchangeably with that, but that's not actually correct. You have one strand, which is a 2-ply strand, and then you fold it in half to get a loop start, and that'll give you a 2 strands. Yeah. So if I say 2-ply, it's in terms of how many strands, that's why. I don't mean to say that. I know it's incorrect. And I know you can probably hear my dog in the background. I don't know. His cat's probably back out there. There's that black cat that keeps coming around and both being playful and antagonizing him because a lot of times she doesn't come near him. She doesn't want to play. But we loaded up my husband's truck the other day with a bunch of stuff that has to be taken to the landfill because they're large things that we had set aside. So like my old computer chair and our son's old computer chair, which were both in really bad shape. You know, they will just be thrown out because they won't accept stuff like that for recycling, which, oh, hello. I think that's a shame. I'll just make that, do that again and make that diagonal instead of, I'll just add some color to it. I think it's a shame that they won't accept stuff like that for recycling. Like, you know, the, what do you call it? The base of these chairs. Not the actual rollers, but a lot of the base of these chairs that hold the rollers is all plastic. And it's all heavier duty plastic. And I'm just like, why don't you recycle this stuff? There's so much plastic in our lives that they won't recycle. Like, they may recycle, 1, 2, okay, let's go over here. They may recycle, like, the containers you get your lunch meat in, or your Tupperware, but they don't recycle your plastic wrap. They won't recycle some of the single-use plastic containers. And then even that they do, like milk jugs, for example, you have to wash them. It says right on there to make sure it's completely clean before you put it in the recycling. And I'm just like, okay. You know, I started at one point to, let's see, where am I here? Yeah, I lost my place again. Yeah, so I just completely confuzzled myself there. Okay. 1, 2, there we go. Let's go back. So I started at one point deciding to reuse our plastic more. And, you know, those plastic bags that you get, the zipper and such bags that you get, and you put stuff in the refrigerator or the freezer. I started washing them and drying them, turning them inside out to dry. But then I read that a lot of those are made as single-use plastics. And so they start to break down after they have been in the freezer or the refrigerator for a certain period of time, or been in contact, especially with acidic foods. And it may not be true for all of them, but the ones that I was using were, and I was concerned about it breaking down into the food, so I stopped doing that. So I feel, I don't know, I'll probably end up going back to that, because it's like we use so much plastic in our daily lives now, and there's just so much plastic waste, and I really feel like we just need to reduce our reliance on plastics. And it's everywhere. Yeah, if you are one of those that decided, I am not going to get anything that's plastic, you really can't buy anything at the grocery store now that doesn't come in plastic. If you want lunch meat, even if you go to the deli, they'll wrap it in kind of like a wax paper and then put it in a plastic bag for you to take home. You know, you want to buy lunch meat out of the regular lunch meat aisle, they're all in plastic bags of some type. So, you know, you really can't get away from it at all. You know, the only place that you can get away from some of it, like if you go to a small butcher, which we do have one, but we haven't been there in a bit. You know, you can say, you know, I want this roast, I want this much ground beef, I want these chicken breasts, or this chicken, and they'll wrap it in butcher paper. And I don't know if it's true, so please don't quote me on this, but I feel like the inside of the butcher paper is not waxed, it's plasticized. So even if you are going to a butcher and you are getting your meats from a butcher in butcher paper, that butcher paper still has a thin layer of plastic on the inside of it. You know, if I look it up later and find out that I'm wrong, then I'll go ahead and put into the comments that, you know, I was wrong. But I feel like that butcher paper even has a thin layer of plastic on the inside. And so even there, you can't get away from it. You can't get away from that plastic. Yeah, and isn't wax paper just kind of a form of, well, it's probably a paper of some type that has a thin layer of wax on it, but yeah. Just, you can't get away from plastic. But that's a personal decision. So I've done a little over 200 stitches on the recording today. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I need to take a break, get some more coffee, and get up and get moving. I hope you have a wonderful day. Positive energies to those who need it. Healing energies to those who need it. And happy stitching. Oh, excuse me. Happy stitching.